Do you want to talk about Showtime?
Let's talk about Showtime real quick.
Well, what a run it's been. I didn't realize it's been that long.
Yeah.
I thought it was like Showtime been doing this was like 20. I'm giving them 20 at the most.
They did it right.
It's been, 37? 37 years? Somewhere around there. Man, that's our life.
That heck of a... Yeah, you're right.
That's our life. That dude old, so I don't know if he was there for the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Showtime, man. Steven Espinoza, first podcast guest ever on PorterWay Podcast. Hopefully we continue to see Steven around.
Yeah.
Yeah, he at this point he's part of boxing. You ain't part of the Showtime. You with us now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we taking you.
There's certain fights with certain fighters that I always expected to see him in attendance.
Yeah, so you know what I like. I seen the going into the when they getting ready to do the go into the show. I like to say, there's you and your dad when y'all doing y'all rocking back stuff like that. But you performed you got classic fights on Showtime. What can you remember about Showtime?
It just was where I started. You know,
okay. Showbox.
Yeah, I started. Well, okay. Yeah, I mean, I did ESPN, and then I moved to Showbox once you. That's kind of like the graduation, and I'll tell a quick story too. So, and this is right before I moved down to 147. I had a couple fights on Showbox at 154 pounds, and we were at a mixer after the fights, and somebody's talking to my dad and said, "Hey, if you can get Shawn to 147, he'll be a champion, and he'll be a superstar." So that's kind of where it started. But there's highlights of me on YouTube. I don't know who's put those highlights together, but a lot of those fights, early fights, those big knockouts and knockdowns and things like that, a lot of that all happened on Showbox, you know. The other thing that I like to say about Showbox or Showtime as a entirety is that I tell people all the time, I've had people ask me, how'd you get so good at interviewing people? I said, well, shoot, anytime I was interviewed, I just would pay attention to what they were asking and I would bank it. And this is just kind of how I became who I've become. And all that really kind of started right there with Showbox and Showtime. I got comfortable by the time I got on the main stage based on what Showbox provided me, you know, going in for the face to do the poses and things like that, all this stuff y'all see on TV, night of. One of the first production trucks that I went into was a Showtime production, you know. Friends with everybody over there, so I look forward to seeing everybody moving forward. I don't really consider it a sad time for boxing. I know that there's a lot of people in the boxing space prior to this announcement about Amazon or about Prime or whatever that that people were worried, like what's going to happen with boxing now. Well, we obviously see now that PBC has a new home in Amazon, but the other side of that is you got to understand that times are changing. And when times change, certain things go away, some other things improve and get bigger. And in this respect, man, we want to definitely send a salute to Showtime for the things that they were able to accomplish and do with boxing. And I personally want to thank Showtime. Oh, yeah, I did. I have one more story that I wanted to tell. So another time, I had a couple of Showtime fights, and again, the process was ESPN. From ESPN, you do Showbox. From Showbox, you do Showtime Championship Boxing, and then you go to the big dogs with HBO. Yeah. And my dad came to me and said, "Hey, we need to start thinking about changing your name." And this is because my dad thought that we was like at our last Showtime, we got one more Showtime fight, and we moving on to HBO. I looked at my dad. I said. Why do I have to change my name? You going to HBO. You're not going to be able to use the Showtime name because of the network. I told my dad, I said, we don't have to go to Showtime. We don't have to go to HBO. My dad, of course, this is the way. Yeah. I said, I don't know. Maybe we could just make our home Showtime. And my dad understood the money and the business of boxing. I understood what I thought made sense and what I wanted. And he said, it ain't going to work like that. And basically just left the conversation there. And of course, when he said it ain't gonna work, I said, yes, it is. You know? And then we saw that.
It's a new school and old school.
But we saw Floyd make this big deal with Showtime. And when he made that big deal, I never looked at my dad and said, I told you. But I was thinking to myself, like, I felt it in my heart that this name, Showtime, that I carry is mine to have, you know? And of course, we seen other guys, shout out to Sonny Edwards. There's other guys who carry the name. But I personally, man, I take that name like it's everything, because I feel like that name, Showtime, you get a lot of people like right before a fight, right before a game or anything. It's, oh yeah, Showtime, let's go.
Yeah.
I said, yo, I am Showtime. What people talk about, I embody
Yeah.
what people talk about. You know what I mean? So again, shout out to Showtime. Thank you for the years. Thank you personally for everything that you did for me, for boxing, and get me where I am now. Thank you.